Hello students, today we will be discussing the last application of the chapter superconductors, and it's a very important application. It is known as a squid. Now what exactly is a squid I'll be explaining in the later part of the video. First, let me start with the working principle of squid. Now prior to that, what exactly is a Josephson junction? Because squid is actually an application which is based on Josephson effect. Now what is this Josephson effect? Who proposed the Josephson effect and on what basis? So first of all, let us discuss what exactly is a Josephson junction. Right. So first of all, let me just discuss what a Josephson junction is. So here in the diagram, I have shown that you have two different superconductors which are joined through an insulator. Now this insulator can be a metal also. Why can we say metal as an insulator? Because compared to superconductors, if you have a metal has resistance, but a superconductor has almost zero resistance. So if you take a metal, you can take the thickness of this barrier in micrometers, but if the insulator is a pure insulator, if it is a non-metal, it has to be in angstrom, nanometers. So if I have two different superconductors which are connected through an insulator, now this forms a Josephson junction. So what exactly is a Josephson junction? A Josephson junction is made by sandwiching a thin layer of non-superconducting material between two layers of a superconducting material. Now this non-superconducting material, as I said, can be a metal or a non-metal. If a metal, thickness can be micrometers. If a non-metal, thickness has to be in nanometers. Now the device is named Josephson junction because the founder itself, the founder of this junction was Brian Josephson, who predicted in the year 1962. So this was the year when the Josephson effect was proposed. So in the year 1962, he predicted that pairs of superconducting electrons could tunnel right through the non-superconducting barrier from one superconductor to another. What does it mean? See, suppose you've connected the battery like this. So whenever the switch K is closed, then it will form a closed circuit. So the current will start flowing like this. So from here the electrons start flowing. But the moment the electrons enter the superconductor, they will be forming Cooper pairs. You know, I had explained in my last lecture what exactly is a Cooper pair. It is a pair of electrons which is formed because of lattice, that is because of phonons. So these Cooper pairs will flow, they will overcome, they will cross this barrier and they will flow to the next superconductor. So actually the electrons will form a closed loop like this. So this tunneling of electrons is achieved. I'll be explaining in my next slide. Now the Josephson junction is also known as an SIS junction, stands for superconductor, insulator, superconductor. Now what is the unique feature of Josephson junction? If you have a metal or an alloy which is cooled to a very low temperature, a phase transition occurs. What do you mean by phase transition? The moment you reach its critical temperature, it will enter to superconducting state from its normal state. What do you mean by superconducting state? Resistance decreases suddenly, right? So at this critical temperature, the metal goes from what is known as normal state, where it has electrical resistance, to the superconducting state, where there is essentially no resistance to the flow of direct electrical current. So this phase transition occurs only at the critical temperature, right? If you remember the graph I had discussed in my first lecture, that for two different materials, one was silver, the other was mercury, that the decrease was like this. It is decreasing and then suddenly the resistivity drops to 0. Now the newer high temperature superconductors, that is a type 2 superconductors, they are made from ceramic materials. They exhibit the same behavior but at warmer temperatures. I mean, if you talk about YbCO, it can behave as a superconductor at 77 Kelvin also, unlike mercury at 4 Kelvin. Right, so at warmer temperatures also this condition can be achieved if we consider high temperature superconductors. Below the critical temperature, the overall interaction between two electrons becomes slightly attractive. Why? Because they form Cooper pairs. How are Cooper pair forms? Through phonons, a result of electrons' interaction with the ionic lattice of metal. Right? That is nothing but phonons. Again, I'm repeating, those who do not remember, that phonons means thermal vibrations of the lattice. Now this very slight attraction allows them to drop into a lower energy state, which in turn enables them to move through the barrier without being scattered by ions of lattice. This is what is known as Josephson tunneling. So what exactly happens is, let me just come back here, that the electrons are moving like this. They enter into superconductor S2. The moment they enter into superconductor S2, they are going to form Cooper pairs. Now, whenever Cooper pair is formed, you know we discussed the important terms related to BCS theory, wherein we had a term called energy gap. What exactly is energy gap? The moment pair of electrons is formed, its energy reduces, and the pair is formed means there is an attraction between the two electrons. So this pair of electrons which is moving through the superconductor, it will resist the attraction of, by the lattice, and it will overcome this barrier. Now the moment the Cooper pair overcomes or crosses this barrier, we call that phenomena as Josephson tunneling. So again I'm repeating the sentence. The very slight attraction of electrons allows them to drop into a lower energy state, which in turn enables them to move through the barrier without being scattered by the ions of lattice. This is known as Josephson tunneling. So because of Josephson tunneling, we can say that the electron pairs flows and you get a complete closed circuit. Now let us discuss what exactly is Josephson effect. So actually the Josephson effect is explained in two parts. So again, let me just explain. I have randomly considered two different superconductors, Pb say lead, Sn say tin. In between them there is an insulator. This is the applied voltage, and this is the applied voltage, and this is the voltage measured between the two superconductors, right? If a constant current, now what the two parts are DC and AC Josephson effect. So let us first discuss what is DC Josephson effect. So if a constant current is made to flow through a superconductor, no voltage drop will occur as long as current is below the critical value. Till the battery is a constant current is going to flow. So if a constant current is flowing between these two superconductors, you just measure the voltage across the two. What will happen? Because there is no resistance, the voltage is not going to drop. So you will be getting zero voltage drop in this case. This effect is what is termed as DC Josephson effect. Getting it? Okay. Let us move on to the next part, that is known as AC Josephson effect. So if a small potential difference is applied to a Josephson junction, in this case a small potential difference is applied to a Josephson junction. You can see you've connected a DC battery. So if a small potential difference is applied to a Josephson junction, a small oscillating current starts flowing through the junction with a frequency known as 2 eV by H. Now why do we get an oscillating current? Because the pair of electrons which is formed, they are having same magnitude but opposite spin. So the moment the electron enters this barrier, they are oriented in such a direction that they start oscillating. So from here the electrons enter. So from here till this part it is electron only. In this green portion they form Cooper pairs, and when these Cooper pairs try to cross this blue barrier, because of a little bit resistance, what happens? Suddenly they experience a torque in such a way that they start oscillating. So output from here would be an oscillating current as shown here. So this part is what is known as AC Josephson effect. Now this is a very important question. You can be asked in GTU exam for 3 to 4 marks. Discuss Josephson effect, right? So just remember, DC Josephson effect means the voltage drop is 0, and AC Josephson effect says that the current, if a potential difference is applied, the current which you get is an oscillating current with a frequency 2 eV by H. Here V stands for the applied voltage and H is Planck constant. Now what exactly is the advantage or is the application of this effect? The presence of magnetic fields near the superconductors, it influences the Josephson effect, allowing it to measure very weak magnetic field. In this case, we've connected only one source, that you have a potential applied and you get an oscillating current. What if this is placed in a magnetic field? the output is going to change. So this is the base of squid. So now after the topic Josephson effect, let us move on to squid. The full form of squid is very, very important. It stands for superconducting. QU stands for quantum. I stands for interference. D stands for device. So the full form is superconducting quantum interference device. The construction of a squid is very, very simple. You can say this portion is one Josephson junction and this is another Josephson junction. Now the squid works on the principle of Josephson effect, and squid is simply two Josephson junctions which are connected in parallel. So I say the upper portion is one Josephson junction. How can I say this? One superconductor, insulator, another superconductor. Similarly, one superconductor, insulator, another superconductor. And both the terminals are common. I have taken common from here also and here also. So this forms two different Josephson junctions connected in parallel, and this is what is known as a squid. Now it is a very sensitive magnetometer which is used to measure extremely subtle magnetic fields. Subtle means weak, based on superconducting loops containing Josephson junction. Now this is very sensitive to flux changes. Any small change in flux will lead to a change in current. You know that whenever there is a change in flux, current is induced. So whenever there is a change in current, there will be a current. Whenever there is a change in flux, there will be a current. And so the voltage will be developed across the junction. Right? Let us understand the working of the squid. Now this is the squid we have shown. We are just measuring the voltage here, and we have also shown magnetic field lines, because if magnetic field is present, the working of squid will change. The voltage measured will change. Now the voltage of the whole squid varies when the magnetic flux is applied, and it goes back to the same value whenever an additional flux quantum goes through the ring. What does that mean? Just assume in this condition that you are not, suppose we assume that there is no magnetic field and there is some potential applied. There is a current flowing, like I explained here. Suppose I say this is the input current. There is no magnetic field present. What will happen? This current will branch. It will form Cooper pairs. Now these Cooper pairs will tunnel across the Josephson junction. Whenever they tunnel, they start oscillating and you get an output current. If I measure voltage across this point and voltage across this point, I will be getting 0. Why 0? Because there is no voltage drop, because there is no internal resistance. But what happens if the magnetic field is applied? If you apply magnetic field, there is some flux linked with it. The magnetic field lines actually are not passing through the ring because of Meissner effect. But the external magnetic field, what will it do? It will induce a current in this superconducting ring, in this Josephson junction, and this induced current will oppose the applied current. I'm repeating again. Suppose you say the current is moving in this direction. You have applied a magnetic field. The magnetic field lines do not penetrate through the superconducting junction because of Meissner effect. But what do? They will induce a current in this ring such a way that it opposes the applied current. So definitely you are going to get some voltage drop. Even if the applied magnetic field is very, very small, the voltage fluctuation can be recorded. This is how the magnetic field is measured. In other words, the squid's voltage is periodic, where a magnetic field is progressively applied to the ring. Progressively in the sense, slowly if you increase, flux is going to change. Flux is going to change, current is going to be induced. And the period of this effect is known as the flux quantum, that is the discrete values of flux. If the variation is measured, one can determine the small changes of magnetic field, as I just explained. Also, as magnetic field, current and voltage are dependent on each other, we can measure any one if the other is known. Now, the squid has a capability to detect changes as small as 10 raised to minus 15 volt and as large as 10 raised to minus 21 Tesla. Right? Next, what are the applications of squid? Applications of squid. You know that Earth also has a magnetic field because of the molten lava inside. But the value of this magnetic field is very, very small. It's very weak magnetic field, around 10 raised to minus 6 Tesla. So this such a magnetic field, a weak magnetic field, is measured through squid. Squid can also detect weak magnetic fields which are produced by biological currents like human brain. So it is used in brain imaging. Now our body is just formed of cells, many cells together. Now basically what happens in some people who are having some brain disorders, we generally have a value of biological current, a very weak current flowing through our body. If you touch anyone, you're not going to get a shock, but there is a very subtle or a weaker value of current flowing through our body if we measure through a sensitive device. In case of people having brain disorders, the biological current, it will actually differ from its normal value. This is how it is detected. Next, it is used for detection of iron deposits in human liver. Now, you all know that iron is very important for our body, but if the quantity exceeds, it leads to chronic pain. Now, what actually happens is it leads to pain in the stomach area, the lower abdomen portion, and that needs to be rectified. So, what exactly is the value of magnetic field? It won't be very strong. If you touch a magnet, the magnet is not going to attract to your stomach. But is a surgery needed? How do we need to remove this? So before that, what exactly is the value of the magnetic field is known with the help of squid, and then a decision can be taken whether to operate or not. It is also used in oil prospecting, oil industries, mineral exploration, and earthquake prediction. So some applications of squid I have discussed. With this, I end my chapter of superconductivity. From the next lecture, I'll be starting with laser. Thank you.